Old faithful Mark came down to help me knock out some more work on the Sweptline. He put a good healthy coat of high build primer on the tailgate. Turned out, I think it looks pretty good. Headlight bezels, windshield wiper holster, and we figured we're here. Truck does not fit in the paint booth with the doors open, so we had to dry ball it out here. I'm not gonna lie, the inside of the cab was very bright before. Started spraying the color on. Look at this. I know. Should have been sanding on it this whole time. Popped out the booth. Now, the color is black sapphire. Basically, dark midnight blue. Came out a little iffy in the beginning because with the white primer inside the cab, first coat it was green, but then hit the second coat on there and woke it up. All right, folks, we have stepped back into this project about a week later after we sprayed the color inside the cab. The weather cleared up and I was able to knock out several dirt jobs, and I hauled a piece of equipment this morning. But I want to talk to you about my practices for this level of sanding. I want this truck to come out, a little bit better than the scratch and scuffs that I've done on the other channel, the quick flips, because this one's definitely not a quick flip. There's a lot that went into this truck. Despite what everybody says about imperfections that it might show, you can't see hardly anything on the camera. If anything, the camera makes us look better. So I don't know why anybody want to rag on this old girl, because I think it's actually turning out very, very nice, especially for my first time going to this level of caliber. But I want to show you guys what I do for my wet sanding. I kind of want the final to be a 600. And so I started with that because it just needs to be a light graze on it. Pretty much it's damn close as it was. You got these little standard blocks. These things are kind of sweet, but they do not give at all, which is what you want. But this thing is not really a completely flat canvas, I had to take a break from working on the technical stuff, the headlight bezels and, the windshield wiper area and the tailgate. This thing, you can get those flat surfaces on like the tailgate, and hell, that was probably the only spot. It'd be for like a spot up here. Up in here, you can get these little foam blocks. These things are sweet because they kind of conform to it a little bit. But when you get down to these areas right here where the Sweptline is, it doesn't want to do much besides just hit the corner. So I got this packaging foam, and I've showed it before. Cut a couple of these similar size to that block. So if I want to swap over a sandpaper to this one, it works out a lot better. And then I just take a piece of, I went with 600, but it was taking too long to really get anywhere. And I wasn't, grooving with it. It was a little bit frustrating. I spent quite a while on the tailgate. So I started going to 400 to get everything going. Get a little bit of moisture going on this thing, because nice thing about wet sanding is you don't have to wear your mask. And that's definitely a fresh air. So I've been doing just a bunch of X pattern stuff across the whole shebang. Then you switch it. That way everything lays out smoother. Now here at the Sweptline, I use this one, and I can contort it just by pressuring it, which is nice. I know they make certain stuff for it, but I have a whole bunch of this material and it worked out good. So I can't just run into it like this because as soon as I get to the lip right here, or the beginning of the mountain, it lifts my whole piece of sandpaper up, and then you got a spot that you missed right there, because your pressure transfers right to the side of the mountain. So I started doing a little bit of my X pattern about 1/2 inch to 3/4 away from really the point, and then I'll switch it over to here. And I'm just trying to show it to you real quick. This isn't, you know, full speed. So this works out awesome, and I'll be able to round the corners really nice with it. And there's just a little bit of dimples that you can see. They got just a little bit of darkness to them, and I'm just going to smooth those out and show you guys the other side and my seam right there, how well that turned out. But I'll tell you what, I got about 6 hours today working on the wet sanding. Got up this morning pretty early, went and hauled some equipment, so I did my daily and was able to come home early and start working on this, and I'll show you guys what we got going on. Just take a look at that seam right there. I think it's turned out way better than I would have ever anticipated, and I put way more effort into it, so I say that every time. It just, whew, you see how dull this side is? It's just absorbing the light. It just looks like a shadow. And then this one over here, since it's all shined up, you know, it's quite a bit brighter. Tailgate, I'm going to call that pretty much done. Obviously, I got it flipped over so it'll drain out of all the crevices. I didn't want it holding water. This thing, there's a lot of detail going into that, so I had to take a break from it. I did the easier spots, but I think all the areas on one of these kind of deals is I'll do, you know, just rough it out a little bit, but more or less I want to start with the rough spots so I can work those in and then massage the whole big area over the top of them. But you can't go too hard on these because it's such a fine area that if you go too much, you end up just burning through your primer. I don't want to do that. Headlight bezels, these things, I had just a decent amount of hammer dolly work to them and did some sanding on them, so it kind of massaged out the highs and lows on the steel. And then it's got several healthy coats of high build on it, and I think they turned out pretty dang decent. I just need to go over these with the 6, call it a day. And correct me if I'm wrong, if I shouldn't be going all the way to the 6 for this, but 400, 600 low scratch and scuff builds I did, the paint turned out awesome, and I just did a dry 220. All right, everybody, it is early Friday morning. We're gonna put some color on the small items today. The bed is ready. I got about nearly 20 hours of wet sanding, going through the grits on this thing, mixed with the bed, or with the tailgate, headlight bezels. I need to go through and get the dust off of them. Wet sanding, muck, powder, that stuff feels like concrete. Feels like the cement powder. Truck's still roughed up because I ain't gonna mess with it until we're about to do something with it. It's nice, got fire cooking good. We got rain at like noon. Yeah, okay, I just turned off the filter fan back there. That's why those things are getting sketchy with themselves. It's crazy when you spend a lot of money on paint, it lays down a lot nicer and it's just easier overall. It takes a little bit of that stress of spraying out. This side's way tighter than the other side, so you can see through it a lot better. But we gotta let that cure before we pull out of the booth. The only downside to these blow-up booths is well, you gotta leave them inflated until you can pull the stuff out of there. You can't just walk off overnight. Didn't get around to the tailgate this round because I sprayed rattle can on the insides, and it was just like this, a little bit of black pull out. And I lifted it up and a puddle ran out. But they never paint the inside of any of this stuff. That's why any of these trucks, it's just a miracle that they're still alive, because there's so many cavities like that never got painted. Down in here, down in there, down in there, down in there, down in the doors. So I tried to hit all those. I stuck paint through a tube through all the spots on the cab best I could. And the bed, or the tailgate, was off. Obviously, after doing the wet sanding, it started leaking a little bit of rust out of it. Not rotten, just bare steel. You're gonna have pools of junk. But we did get that little guy in there.
Show they can't cover it in. They cover their car with plastic.
I'll tell you what.
Vinyl wrap plastic.
If you look at it on camera, it looks really good.
They shooting plastic. I mean, look at it. You stand over here and look at it. You can see 1, 2 imperfections in it. That's it.
We'll just get up close to it.
3. You can't see it when you get up close to it.
Yeah.
You can see one there.
But look on the camera. Look how clear you are.
Oh yeah. Like I said, it looks great.
The one thing I am like.
Just remember what it looked like before you started.
Yeah, I know. I just remember full of trash sitting out in that freaking forest. Luckily, it didn't burn down in that forest fire. But I like how the taillight areas turned out really well. Because this one over here was literally like if they would have backed up into a fire hydrant, dented in, and that steel was not easy to work out. So I'm glad that that cleaned up some what to the level of factory looks like. But I'm not going to spend another year working on this truck. So this will be the truck that tows. Man, it looks almost purple on camera with the light. But then you get up in the darkness and it turns black. We got too much light coming from outside. Well, now we just got another 1.5 gallons to go on the whole top of this thing. So the guys that did the Challengers, they actually did a pretty good job on the bodywork then, because the black looks pretty good. I don't know how much mud's in that car. I don't care to find out ever.
So there's videos of people peeling mud off the car.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with mud as long as it's not extremely thick and covering up a rock pocket. Well, guys, it's a huge weight lifted off my shoulders to finally spray some color on here. I'm going to go into full detail on why we picked this color and just a bigger overview of the project, how it's unfolding in the next video. This project, I'm just trying to work on it literally every bit of my free time that I have. So if I go to work, do the 9 to 5, whatever, come home, try to crack out a couple hours on it, and the shop gets pretty well beat up with every day kind of project going in and out of there. But I will say, for the condition that this bed, truck, and everything is in, this is far more than it would have ever expected in its life ever again. This truck is turning out pretty slick, and this color was I would say a big time gamble. Like, we went pretty far off the reservation to go with this color, but it's what we wanted, and if anything, it'll teach me what I need to look for if I'm going to go dark again, and what not to look for, and stuff that can be skipped and not skipped. But thank you guys so much for watching. It does feel good to actually spray color on this truck. I did practice, did several other trucks in preparation to spray this one, and I'm happy with how it laid down. Thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next one later.